Hi and welcome back. Okay, let's continue our work on algebra. So have a read of this question. Decide whether the point -3, 2 is on the line with the given equation. So the equation is y equals x plus 2, and we're asked to work out if the point -3, 2 is on that line. So this is a beautiful question, nice and fun. Remember, coordinates are always given in the form of x and y. So all we need to do is write out the equation and substitute the values in for x and y. And if the equation holds true, it is on the line. And if it doesn't hold true, it's not on the line. So let's do this step by step. So wherever you see y, you just have to substitute 2. And wherever you see x, you just have to substitute -3. So y, so we're going to say 2 equals to x, which is -3 plus 2. And we could work out the right-hand side. -3 plus 2 is -1. So 2 doesn't equal to -1. So left-hand side does not equal to right-hand side. Therefore, the point -3, 2 is not on the line. So it's nice and simple as that. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward and that all makes sense. Okay, let's do a few more like that. How about this? If the same point, -3 and 2, is on this line. So again, we just do the same thing. So let's write out the point. We've got -3, 2. Remember, it's in the form of xy. And let me write out my equation. -2x plus y equals to 8. So remember, what I want to do is wherever I see x, I'm going to substitute -3 in. And wherever I see y, I'm going to substitute 2 in and see if it holds true. So we've got -2, and then try use brackets when you substitute the x in, and then our x value, which is -3 plus y, which is 2, and we want to know if that equals to 8. So -2 times -3 is positive 6. So you've got 6 plus 2, and 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 does equal 8. So left-hand side does equal the right-hand side in this case. Therefore, the point -3, 2 is on the line. Nice. Hopefully that's making sense. It's all feeling good. Okay, let's try this one. So it asks us to sketch this linear graph, this linear relationship using a gradient y-intercept. Okay, so let's go through this. So we've got y equals to -3 on 2x plus 1. So remember, any straight line could be written in the form of y equals mx plus c, where m is your gradient and c is your y-intercept. So if you look at this, whatever's in front of our x value, which is -3 on 2, is my gradient, and that is my y-intercept. So that's basically all we need to know to draw a graph. So let's draw our Cartesian plane. So our axes. Okay, so we know it goes through the point 1, 0, 1. So we're going to say that's over here as my y-intercept. And now the gradient is -3 on 2. And remember, the gradient is rise divided by the run. That's what my gradient is. So if we've got -3 on 2, it means it goes down by 3 units and across by 2 units. So if the gradient's -3 on 2, it's going down by 3 units and across by 2 units. So remember, this point was 0, 1. So we're going down by 3 units. So if you go down by 3 units, you're at 1, and you're going down by 3 units, you get to -2. Hopefully everyone sees that. Let's change this color because you go down 1 unit, another unit, and another unit. And then we go across by 2 units. So my new point is going to be somewhere over here. Let's label that. So we've gone across by 2 units. So instead of it being at 0, it's now going to be at 2. And we've gone down by 3 units. So instead of it being at 1, it's going to be at -2. We only need 2 points to draw my line. So I've got those 2 points. Then you draw your line and extend it. You draw an arrow. Let's label our line. So my line, it should be one straight line, by the way. -3 on 2x plus 1. So it's a good idea, probably if you had like axes on your graphs, that way you could draw it a lot more accurately. Perfect. Okay, let's do a few more like that. What about this one? So it says sketch the linear relationship using the x and y-intercept method this time. So we need to work out what the intercepts are. And an important rule that you need to remember, at the x-intercept, all you have to do is sub y as 0. And at the y-intercept, all you have to do is sub x as 0. And the reason being is if you had a graph, and let's just draw my graph, that's my x-intercept, where it crosses the x-axis. And at that point, y is 0. And this is my y-intercept. And at this point, x is 0. And that's why we sub in these two values. So let's do that. So let's work out the x and y intercept. So we've got -2x minus 3y equals to 6. So let's work out the x intercept first. So what we're going to do is substitute y as 0. So sub y equals to 0. So let's write out my equation. And instead of y, I'm going to substitute 0. And that equals to 6. So -3 times 0 is just 0. So you're going to say -2x equals to 6. Divide both sides by -2 to get rid of that -2. So you have x by itself. 6 divided by -2 is -3. So my x-intercept is -3, 0. Okay, now let's work out my y-intercept. Let's change the color so it's easy to see. So at the y-intercept, you sub x as 0. So let's write out the equation again. And instead of x, I'm going to substitute 0. So you've got -2 times 0, take 3y, equals to 6, which -2 times 0 is just 0. So you just simplified with -3y equals to 6. And then you're going to divide both sides by -3. 6 divided by -3 is -2. So your y-intercept is 0, -2. Perfect. So now you've got 2 points, both your intercepts, and that's all you need to draw your graph. So let's draw our graph and plot those points in. So let me just move that over here, and so we have a bit of space. So we're going to draw my Cartesian plane. Okay, so my y-intercept was 0, -2, which I'm going to say is over here. And my x-intercept was -3, 0. Let's say that's over here. Just 2 points to draw your graph. So you've got your 2 points and extend the line. One continuous, straight, beautiful line. And let's label everything. So that was 0, -2, which was my y-intercept. X-intercept was -3, 0. And my graph was -2x minus 3y equals to 6. Okay. Now we've got 2 easy questions. Sketch the linear relationship y equals to 3. So when y equals to 3, it just means it crosses the y-axis at 3. So if this is my Cartesian plane, that's x, that's y. Y equals to 3 would be a flat horizontal line that just crosses that axis at. So if I had to label that point, would be 0, 3. And my graph would just look a completely flat horizontal line. So when you've got y equals a specific value, it just cuts the y-axis at that value. How about this? X equals -2. So very similar. Draw my Cartesian plane. This time, if it's x equals a value, it is a completely vertical line that just crosses the axes at -2. So if I had to label that point in coordinate form, would be -2, 0. So a vertical line that just crosses the axes at -2. Perfect. Hopefully that was helpful. You've learned something and you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.